us about your most interesting relative, dead or alive. Tell us about your most interesting relative, dead or alive.
My ethnicity is Chinese, and as Chinese, we have a pretty big family. A lot of my family I have over in Taiwan, and some I have here in the States. My most interesting relative, I would have to say, would be one of my cousins, actually, on my mom's side. He lives out in Taiwan, and I had the privilege of staying with him and his family a couple years back when I was interning out in Taiwan. What makes him so interesting to me is I never really had much interaction with him before that. We used to go back and see family in Taiwan every other year or so for the summer. And he was living where we were staying, but because of the age difference, I never really got to know him that well. But being able to stay with him, I found out what he did, how his family life is. I got to really know him and found him to be really interesting. He studied really hard in school. He did everything that we would expect an Asian person to do, a Chinese person to do. And he now has a family, he has 2 kids, and just the way that he looks at life is really interesting and amazing to me. For somebody who grew up in Taiwan and hasn't experienced much as far as we have here in America. What makes him so interesting to me really is he grew up pretty independent, just did everything on his own, learned things on his own, studied really hard all on his own, was able to achieve so much on his own. And a lot of the rest of my family, we've all had help, whether growing up with our schoolwork or whatever else we have going on in our lives. But he did everything all on his own. And for him to be able to achieve what he has with his work and with his family and everything else that he's done, is just, to me, is just really amazing. And for me, really interesting. And so his name, his English name is Kevin, and his Chinese name is Hsu.
The waiting place. The waiting place, Gigi the God. Hsu, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Wayne Hsu.
Hey, 徐伟忠，忠忠啊，喂，哎，你好，伟忠啊，怎么样 ？What's up, Weez? How's it going, Weezy? Bueno, how are you doing today? Asian sensation, Yumanashi, how's it going? Hi everybody, my name is Wayne Hsu. Xu Weizong is my Chinese name. All those other references I just listed off have been nicknames given to me either throughout the years of my life or even recently, where I am now. I believe everybody here has had a nickname given to them at one point or another in their life. Sometimes you like your nicknames, a lot of times you don't, and the ones I picked out, well, those are the ones that I like. So that's what we're going with. It's interesting though, with every nickname that's given to us, only certain people in our lives will ever use those nicknames. It's because that's how they know us, that's how they refer to us. They know that aspect of our life, of what we're going through at the time, and that's why we get those nicknames. And with each nickname, it carries a different weight upon our lives, as well as a different identity. Each nickname is a certain identity, a certain identity, a certain identity. And it's just so interesting how with these identities, it's just so easy to get lost in all of our thoughts. And with each of these identities, for me, it's like, man, well, does this one hold more weight than this one? Or does this identity bring out more of who I am? Which is which? And so, for example, all of you here know me as Wayne, as I've introduced myself. And if you've spent any time with me outside of Toastmasters, you have your thoughts of who I am. And for those who only see me at Toastmasters, you also have your thoughts of who I am. But you know me as Wayne. And I'm pretty confident that everything you think about me is already positive. I mean, what's not to love, right? Xu Weizong is only used by my parents. That's the name they chose for me. That's the name they gave me. And that's the name that represents that I am their child. And I will always be their child in their eyes, no matter how old I get. They will always see me as their child. And you can bet that if I'm ever in trouble or if they're mad at me, you're going to hear Xu Weizong. Zongzong is just my Chinese name, the last character repeated. And the only people who ever use that were given to me at a young age are my relatives. It's also, that's who I am, the name that my parents gave me. But it's a much more casual setting and more playful, and it also kind of dictates, I was a little younger and they were older, and so that's how they did that. I think that's really a Chinese cultural thing, that they take that name and repeat it. Wei Yin was a name given to me when I was in Taiwan a couple years back. I interned for a company, and at the time while I was learning there, they wanted me to practice English with some of their employees because they want them to get better at their English, the listening part of it as well as speaking. And so I'd introduce myself as Wayne and not my Chinese name. And since their English wasn't that good, they just took Wayne and directly translated it to Chinese, which then became Wei En. So that's how everybody knew me in Taiwan was Wei En. So that's how I got that. But it was interesting, everybody in the company saw me as just that, an intern from America, just coming to learn, a student. So they treated me that way and saw me that way. Wayno was a nickname given to me by my high school orchestra teacher. And every time I saw him, he'd always ramp it up. They'd be like, "Hey, Wayno, how's it going?" And it's like I won a prize every single time I saw him. It was great feeling. But he saw me as a musician. He loved music. And more importantly, he saw me as a violinist because I played violin for his orchestra. Wheezy or Wheeze, as some of you may know, is a nickname given to one of the famous rappers nowadays called Lil Wayne. And when I started my new job working with emissions testing, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Wayne, like Lil Wayne?" Like, yeah, the same spelling. And so they're like, oh man, it's our own Lil Wayne. And so since then, I got those nicknames Wheezy and Wheeze for some of the people there. But they see me as a hard worker, because whenever I'm at work, I work my heart out. I do my best, even though it's not a very high-paying job, but I love what I do. They also see me as somebody who loves to learn, because I'm always trying to learn new things on the job, how to get better, and asking questions. They see me as a funny guy, because even though we're working hard, we're also having a good time laughing and cracking jokes. And finally, they see somebody who they love to work with, because I'm always there helping people out, getting their job done, as well as focusing on my own stuff, whether it's from upper management all the way down to the people I work right alongside. So with all of these names, like I said before, it's really, it can get so confusing to find out who you are. But in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 7, it says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." So I don't have to worry about what other people think about me. I just have to worry about who do I think I am. And who I think I am is who I'm going to be out on the street. Likewise, when you all think about who you are, that's who you're going to be. I just find it so amazing that our minds are just that powerful to say, "Oh, I'm thinking this way, so that's how I'm going to be." I mean, have you ever noticed when you just think of how those good things and the positive things, the joyous occasions, your day just kind of gets a little bit better. But then when you start thinking and dwelling upon sad things or negative things, you don't know why, but all of a sudden you become depressed. And so our minds are just so powerful that way. So my question to you guys is, who do you think you are? Do you think you're a failure because maybe you tried to take a risk in the past and it didn't turn out the way you thought it would, and it didn't come to fruition? Do you think maybe you're unsuccessful because you're not where you want to be in life, or in your career, or your job, or even your love life? Do you think you have nothing to contribute because maybe your education level is not that high, or maybe the experiences you have in this world just don't compare with other people's? I mean, who do you think you are? For me, it took me a long time to figure out who I was. The man standing in front of me today is very different than who I thought I used to be. And I know that there's so many more things that God has deposited within me and my spirit that I have yet to discover about who I am. And I'm excited to go down that journey. So for what God has done in my life, He took somebody with no vision, no identity, no passions, no visions, no dreams, no purpose, and through the transforming of my mind as well as the renewing of Jesus has now molded a person who has a strong identity, who has a purpose-driven life, who has lots of dreams, who has lots of visions, and who has an amazing and prophetic future. And so I'm here to tell you all today to think highly of yourselves, because you're created for greatness. You're created to succeed. You're created to be prosperous. You've been given dreams. You've been given visions. And what's even better, you've been given all the tools necessary to make all those come to life in your life, come to pass in your life. For me, it's just, I wouldn't say these things if it's just to tickle your ears, to make you feel good, just a feel good message. But I truly believe this from the bottom of my heart. And although you're going to walk out of here and be who you think you are, so let me leave you with this. I believe you're all wonderful people. And I believe that you've all been created for a great, wonderful destiny. So go out and be who you